Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me. Oh, Rob, let's go get some receivers.
And you know, I can't help but say I thought about you Saturday. I thought about you Saturday night there, Rob. I don't know if you caught the SNL. They did the Mario Kart trailer for the HBO show they're making. So those who haven't seen it yet, the guy from Star Wars who played the villain on the second Wonder Woman, what's his name? I forget his name. I'm horrible with actors' names. I have too much football stuff in my brain. I can't put in Hollywood stuff too. But whatever his name is, the guy was in there and they basically made a fake HBO show about Mario Kart, and it was freaking hilarious. And it's sad that I actually kind of want them to make the show. I really think I kind of want to see it now. Like, this might be better than the stupid one they're making.
It's me, Mario.
What happens if we get knocked off the track? This guy comes with a fishing pole in the cloud and puts this back on. Whoever hasn't watched it, use YouTube. YouTube SNL Mario Kart. You guys will like it. So let's start today with giving you guys an update on the coaching search here for some of the other teams, because obviously we still have some things in play with our guys. And I got to admit first, I made an error last episode. We had some new news that came out right before we shot, and I misread it, to be very frank. I misread it as Mike Kafka was out of the running at Arizona, and he's not one of the finalists. So, my bad, guys. Oh. But I want to own up to it, make sure everybody's aware, to those who actually do listen to these two goofballs for all their Giants knowledge here. Sorry if we made you look stupid at the water cooler.
Yeah.
My bad. But I don't know. I still think 1 year as an OC is not enough. He's not going to get the job. It's not like the Giants had the number one offense in the league. I still think people are going to say he needs a little more time. The second guy we're worried about, though, is Wink Martindale, who obviously still just talking to the Colts as of last we've heard. The interesting thing is the Colts have Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator. Very, very well-respected, highly touted guy in the league. And from everything I'm reading, they're refusing to let him interview for other DC positions that are in the league. Now, to me, if you wanted a defensive head coach, hypothetically, a guy like Wink Martindale comes with a very unique system, a system he wants to run a specific way, and you know he ain't going to not run his system even as a head coach. If you wanted a guy like that to be your head coach, exactly, you're not keeping your old DC. So I think we're going to be in the clear, guys. If I had to bet on it, which luckily I don't have to bet on it, but if I did, I'm going to bet that we're going to have both Kafka and Wink Martindale back for the next year. Another bit of interesting news that I thought came out, and I just read this just yesterday. So Jihad Ward, the surprisingly good edge guy for us this year, who I thought was going to be come out of a bit piece, but he had a pretty good season for us, I thought. He says he was fined by the NFL $145,000. The big difference. $145,000 for wearing his hood during the football games. You know, if anybody watching where he wears a hoodie, typically puts it over his head when he's on the lines, that is apparently finable by the NFL.
Really?
So they went ahead and gave this guy $145,000 in fines. Which,
how do you justify
I can kind of see why here's the thing. I can kind of see why. Because if you had that hypothetically and it comes out and someone grabs it, they're going to rip you down and potentially hurt you. It is an injury risk, I think.
It's also a piece of uniform, just like your hair.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because it's not part of the uniform. That's the whole problem. It's not the uniform. It's not what they want you wearing. It's very specific. It's kind of like if you came to work with shorts when they had a no short policy.
Well, I mean, that's like coming in pants with just a short paw, so you got a little bit more.
I'm just saying it's weird. It's weird though. Okay. We'll make this analogy then. That's like going to work in a onesie.
Hey, you can be more efficient in a onesie as long as it's got the backstrap at the end.
I'm just saying it's a little weird, but I kind of going to give the guy kudos for sticking to his guns, saying this is what I want to wear. Screw it, I'm going to pay that, because this guy wasn't getting paid a lot of money. What did he be paying?
I was about to say, it wasn't like he was a multi-million contract.
Yeah, I want to say it was like $1.5 million. So he gave up 10% of his salary, and keep in mind it's 10% of his salary before paying his manager, the taxes, all the stuff that goes with being an NFL player. You got to realize when you're playing at $1.5 million, you're bringing home maybe $700K. By the time you're paying taxes and your fee to your agent and that kind of stuff. So he paid a ton of money for the right to wear that. So part of me kind of likes that, and part of me kind of wonders why he likes it so much. So hopefully we'll hear more about that, because it's kind of I don't know why I'm curious on the face value. You're like, okay, the guy likes wearing a hoodie. What does that matter? But for some reason, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because the man's willing to pay so much goddamn money to wear it.
So is it because it's a hoodie? But if he wore a sweatshirt, that's perfectly fine.
I think that's the rule. I think that's the rule.
So
because it says specifically he was fined for wearing a hoodie.
Because if he kept the hood tucked in the jersey, would that be finable?
Yeah, if the NFL didn't know about it, but the second you take it out, you're going to get fined.
Because guys wear long sleeves all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what the rule is in that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. So I don't pretend to be a uniform expert on the NFL policies there, but like I said, I just thought that was interesting because, like I said, you got a guy paying a shnikey load of money to wear a hoodie. Shnikey load. Shnikes.
It might have been that a company name. Sounding, might be a very similar name to Schnecky as the hoodie brand he was wearing.
Schnecky.
Not the name drop.
So today, folks, we're going to get into the news for potential free agent of the Giants to sign this offseason. So, we already went over with you guys as far as, what to do with our people that we need to re-sign potentially, who could be potentially a cap cut casualty this coming year. So I wanted to go over with you guys also here kind of our early on favorites as far as who we think we might look at as a free agent. And we got a lot of guys here, so we're going to go kind of quick here. And I'll say this, if enough people say, listen, guys, I want you to do a show on just linebackers or just do a show on just wide receivers, pop it in the comments section. Maybe we'll go ahead and do that for you guys here, because this is going to be kind of a quick rundown because we have a lot of names to go over with you guys. So our first question we have here tonight is from Jackie. What is the biggest need this offseason? And I'm going to say this. To me, it's a tie between two things. I think it's tied between a pass catcher, regardless of what position they play, just someone DJ can throw to, and a linebacker, because the linebacker position just totally was our weakness in the defense. So we're going to start here by going over with us the initial pass catchers that we're looking at as potentials from this free agency. Now, keep in mind as well that between now and then, these guys can get re-signed. These guys can get franchise tagged, unless they're a free agent that didn't play last year, like our first guy. Hint, hint. But
some guy that's been talked about a lot all season.
A lot. Oh my God, at nauseum. And we're going to do it again. That's why we're going to do it real quick. So
get out of the way.
But, let's just say he might be taking a private plane to come visit.
Sure, it's optional.
Like I said, still can't believe that incident. But yeah, like I said, we're going to have to keep an eye kind of on what happens with these guys as they're going. Keep in mind that, like I said, some of these guys might get tagged, some might get re-signed. Some might say point blank, this is where I want to play, and the Giants don't have a shot at them. And we could be completely wrong on who the Giants like or don't like even. That's always a possibility as well. I'm not in Joe Schoen's head. I kind of would like to be, though. It'd be nice to have that kind of inside knowledge.
Yeah, right?
That's a new NFL insider. Like Osmosis Jones, the NFL reporter.
Chris Rock, what are you doing these days? Just don't get slapped.
Oh, Chris Rock. So the first guy we got is Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. Now, I also went for you guys and listed a couple of things. I listed the age of all these individuals, of what they're going to be at the end of next year, because I just added a year to where they're at now, basically, as opposed to seeing, where they're at the beginning of the season, because I'm not doing all that homework. It's fine. We're going to be off by a couple months, potentially, either way. We're fine. So, Odell Beckham Jr. at the end of next year will be 30 years old. He's hitting that number, guys. And if that makes you feel old, good, because it does me too. God damn, I remember when he was drafted, and it was a big old thing, and had that amazing rookie year. So
I remember when I was 30, my back didn't hurt.
Yeah, oh, the good old days.
I can hang out later at night.
Pains, the good old days.
Yeah.
So I think we've talked about this guy ad nauseum. I think he's going to want too much money. I don't think he's going to be worth the money because he's coming off 2 back-to-back ACL tears. And he hasn't been the player he was with us when he's with the Browns or the Rams. And I know people will tell me I'm wrong in the Rams. Look up the numbers, guys. Don't look up the stats you saw, the occasional touchdown on prime time after the games. Look up the actual stats. He did not do that good.
We did this on the show.
He chiming in with 30s when you start to die. And yes, it is the truth. As someone at 40, yes, 30 is when you start to die.
It's 32. It's when it's all downhill.
So like I said, to me, it's a pass. But I guess that if he does for the right money and we can make it fit, I'd be kind of curious. But I think overall it's going to be a pass for me. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, it's going to be a hard pass. He's going to have to take something like just above veterans minimum, and that's something he is not willing to take.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you. Not tying up
swing and a miss.
Guy.
Get out of here.
Exactly. So receiver number 2, and trust me, guys, you're going to start sowing who are these guys soon, probably after this name or the next name, because there's not a lot of good receivers out there. Fair warning. I know everybody wants a receiver and a flashy receiver. There's not a lot of good ones out there. JuJu Smith Schuster is probably the biggest name out there as far as wide receivers. This past season, 78 catches. Oh, yeah. 78 catches, 933 yards, and 3 touchdowns this year. He'll be 26 at the end of next season. Much younger. That's one thing I like. He's young. But
yeah, he also played great with Pittsburgh, which,
He played good with Pittsburgh. He played good with Kansas City. He's a consistent guy who's proven to win in multiple systems.
Yeah, and the Chiefs got him at the trade deadline. Am I correct? For like a number 2 and a number 6?
They signed him as a free agent outright this past offseason. He was there all year.
Okay.
So
was he traded last year then? Right.
Nope. Not been traded.
Yeah.
No, you're probably thinking Kadarius Toney they traded for.
They did trade him.
So here's my thing. The pros on Schuster is the fact that he's young, the fact that he's been productive. It's also pro he's coming from KC because it means some of the stuff that Kafka does in our offense, assuming he's back, he's going to be familiar with because of the KC connection there. The cons for me is the fact that he's a slot receiver. And we just drafted a guy who's going to be our slot receiver last year in a second-round pick. It's a pretty high pick. I don't want to have a guy that replaces him.
We also got a guy that's a veteran giant who also... What's his name?
Sterling Shepard.
That guy.
Shep.
He comes back. The Sheps.
Yep.
And we also got a cheaper slot guy.
In Richie James. If he comes back, we have to see. He's a free agent. So
yeah.
But yeah. To me, it's a hard pass because of not because of the player. I like the player. This is different than OBJ. I like the player, and he'll be worth whatever he gets him probably, assuming they don't pay him ridiculous. But I don't like the fit for the team. So that's
correct.
A pass. For
I mean, it's in the air. It depends on what we're doing because I have a lot of faith in Wandell. He really started coming to against the Bears, not the Bears, against the Lions. Oh my,
Lions.
Yeah, it was the Lions. He had 100 yards just about 100 yards before he messed up his ACL. So the only thing
he had an injury prior to that too. So it's
you
got to give him
the only
time
thing
to
that concerns me. So the only thing that concerns me is it's an ACL. So that was what, week 5, 7.
Yeah, he could be back. He'll be back at the beginning of the year. I mean, the way the guys
I
are
don't
now,
think he's going to be playing at the beginning of the year. I don't know. He's young.
I think he will. Honestly, I think it was early enough. He may not be fully healthy till midway through the season, but
So depending on what goes
it'll
on,
work out well. We re-signed Shep. He plays for a couple games, gets hurt, and Wan'Dale's healthy by then. With their powers combined, we have a slot receiver.
So it also depends on what we do with Richie Change.
I know, I'm a jerk.
Power combines.
Go, Captain Planet.
Yeah.
I always felt bad. Is it just me? I felt bad for the guy who had the heart ring in that show. It's like everybody else says something cool. It's like wind, water,
fire,
heart.
Yeah.
Heart. I can talk to the baboons. Like, what the hell?
What do you mean by animal friends? Are you Ace Ventura? Yeah, I was so confused by that. So, to me, JuJu comes down to what we do in the offseason with our lineup with receivers. That makes a difference. If we don't make any moves and we keep everyone, we just got too much of an abundance to put this guy up here. I do like the fact that he's big and he's willing to take a hit, but we also need other players.
We need outside guys. We need outside guys.
So is it worth it?
And I don't think
so. It depends. So I'm on the fence.
I'm willing to pass. So you're on the fence? That's fine. If on the fence is a fine answer, I'll take it. So, all right. So we got a pass and on the fence. Next, we got Jakobi Meyers from the Patriots. 26 years old he'll be at the end of the year. So another younger guy like JuJu is. 67 catches last year, 804 yards, 6 touchdowns. And that's only 14 games. He was out a couple of games. So if you think about it, he basically did about close to a 1,000-yard season. And keep in mind, that's with the Matt Patricia and Joe Judge Patriot offense.
So you have a lot of problems with some of these Giants.
Yeah,
so he's told the Giants players. They could talk about how much they hate Joe Judge.
But I'm saying, that to me, that says something. That says that if you put this guy in a regular offense, he probably does even better than that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that offense didn't stifle him somewhat. So, and the nice thing I like also is his production has increased every year he's played so far. The other thing I like is he didn't have any amazing games, no over 100-yard games. And that might be a flag to some people. What I like about it is he's consistent. Every single game, he's 50, 60 yards. He's consistent. I'll take a guy who's consistent. He may not take over a game, but he's going to help you win every game. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, he was with some not a great offense as well. I mean, who was throwing to him? Mac Jones? Zappy?
Yeah. Zappy.
I just
Zappy-doo.
Just like him in fantasy because his name, Zappy.
Zap.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bug spray.
It does. Good.
So, I'm going to give you this. I just said a lot of nice things about him. And I'm going to still tell you pass. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think he's going to want more money than I think we can afford to pay a receiver this offseason. That's where I'm at. I think he's going to be a really good player for somebody. I think he could even be a legit number one for somebody. I just don't think we're going to be able to fit him in the budget, depending what happens. Now, if we can fit him in the budget, I'm all for it. But if it comes to, like, we can sign this guy or we can sign a linebacker, I want the linebacker.
I agree. We need a more productive and a more reliable linebacker play right now than we do.
Like I said, guys, we're not shopping at Nordstrom this season. We're shopping at Marshall's. We don't have as much money as people think we have. We're looking for last year's fashions.
Listen, Burlington Coat Factory, because there's some of them are going out of business.
No, they're more than just gray coats.
Yeah.
Which we have them here in Florida too, and I'm like, I wonder when we first got here. Coat Factory? We're freaking Florida. What the hell do we need this shit?
Makes no sense. Let's see what they got.
Yeah. Let's go check it out. It's like going to the tree store to lie. So we got one more wide receiver for you guys here, and that's DJ Chark of the Lions. Also, another guy will be 26 at the end of next year, so another younger guy. He's also got a Pro Bowl nod. He was a Pro Bowler one time, which, is very impressive, just as Tyler Huntley. Oh, I said it. I went after the Pro Bowl. I went after the Pro Bowl. So, 11 games last year, 30 catches, 502 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, my issue with this guy is he's very injury prone. I don't want any more injury prone players. I'm good. It's a hard pass for me for that reason alone.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential, and he can make me look somebody here and he's healthy. But he's been in the years for me to know he's not going to probably be healthy. It's just what he is. And that's fine if you have other guys around. But when we don't have guys, and we need to sign guys who we have currently, then not going to work. So for me, it's a hard pass.
Yeah, pass. Because the best ability is availability. So if you're not on that field putting up those numbers,
yeah, damn straight.
Get us touchdowns. We don't need you. Like, I'm sure you'll do great. And you know what? I hope you stay healthy and make some money for some some touchdowns for other teams and get them yards.
Yeah, like I said, it's not hating on the guy. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's the
I don't want to take that gamble.
Yeah. So we got another comment from Jackie. What position should they wait until the draft to fill? This, to me, is the position. Wide receiver. There's plenty of good ones that'll be there the first round, second round. We got some good guys that'll be available here. I think that's where we go to look for getting that number one receiver, is try to get a really high draft pick and hope he can. We also got another comment earlier that I was purposely waiting on because it's going to apply here. So, hey guys, from Sabrina Snyder. Who should be the number one target for the Giants? And the answer is coming up right now for me. And you can answer this separately, Rob. We didn't talk about this question beforehand. But we need a weapon for Jones. I don't think that there's a lot of receivers out there. And I think a tight end is the way to go. Because I think if we get a pass-catching tight end, do double tight end sets with Bellinger, because I'm not anti-Bellinger. Anybody who's watched this show before knows I am a very big Bellinger fan. But if you get a tight end that's a receiving tight end, you got a blocking tight end, you got a pass-catching tight end, that's a good combo. And that's the way the offense is set for this kind of stuff nowadays in the modern NFL. So I think we go get a pass-catching tight end personally. Where are you at, Rob?
I'm at the best position that's available. If it's a pass-catching tight end, then yeah, that's what we get. But like, that's not what's really on the market, like you were saying, because we kind of just we did go down who's open. Like, there's not much in receiving core.
Well, the wide receiver is not there.
Yeah, so like you said, draft the opportunity where we got to go, and if we could get a free agent tight end, yeah. I don't know if I agree with who you said, but you also made some good points. We'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, set up a 2 tight end, 3 tight end with 1 or 2 receiver, and then go off that. If you set up a good run game that blocks, like Belichick did a great. I mean, look how great he had tight ends for years, for decades.
It kind of reminds me of what the Ravens did too this past year when they were very effective, and even against us when they had Mark Andrews. Obviously, he was a stud tight end. They had Isaiah Likely, the kid who came out of the draft last season, who's also very involved in the offense, and who's also a very mobile quarterback. Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones, 2 of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league. There's a reason we get you to do that, because when you go to do those kind of routes, you have a guy who can basically be a lead blocker for you if you decide to run, or a guy who can catch the ball if you decide to throw. It's a perfect fit for me. So let's get into those tight ends. Ooh, who doesn't love a good tight end?
I just squatted today.
So first guy we got is going to bring up an interesting topic that I personally always am a big fan of. The guys in your business take their goddamn players.
It's like sleeping with the enemy. Get all the secrets.
It is. It's not even that.
Unless when you get
the secrets,
unless you get Jason Garrett, then it's just
when you take away. If you take away, that's not. There's no secrets given there. So when you get into players that are good for the team that you face twice a year,
talented players,
and you can take them away and make it easier. You not only bring it. It's like you plus you and minus them at that point. It's a big thing to change the frequency of how the games go.
Double switch.
So, exactly. So, my first guy I have on the list for tight ends, Dalton Schultz. Not to be confused with Sergeant Schultz. He sees nothing. Anybody who's younger than like 50 is. And anybody that's younger than like 50 is like, who's this guy talking about? It's a show from the 60s, people. Damn it. So he had 577 yards in this year, 5 touchdowns. We don't got to talk much about him as a player. We all know him. We see him twice a year. He's a good,
and he beat up on us twice this year.
Yes. He had 6 games over 50 yards receiving this season. That's pretty good from a tight end. So he's not your stud. I'm not trying to say he's Kelsey. I'm not saying he's that kind of player, but he's that B level of tight end. I think he's a better player. I hate to say it. As of right now, he's a better tight end than Bellinger is. I think Bellinger will improve over time. We'll see where his ceiling goes. But if you can put the two of them in a system like that, I think that's a pretty interesting offense now. I really do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
2 big mobile guys.
I'm going to guess, depending on the money.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay him like a wide receiver.
Yeah. And you'll probably never hear me not give that you'll never see me not give that caveat of depending on the money. I'm always going to give that for everybody. I'm not overpaying anybody this offseason. I'm not doing it.
We just freed up the cap space. We don't have to burn a hole in that cap space pocket.
A couple of guys. Yeah. Let's not get him in this up.
Yeah.
I like his name is the verb now. So we have more tight ends too. So that's the thing. You don't have to overpay because there's a couple of them. Here's the next one. Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins. Going to be, I forgot to mention the age. Dalton Schultz going to be 27 at the end of the year. And so is Mike.
I was going to say,
so,
Mike, he likes it. He's 27.
He likes it. You know what else he likes? He likes the New York Football Giants. This man was born and raised a New York Giant fan. And you have to wonder, does that give us a big upper hand if we're interested in him as a free agent? Here's a couple of quotes he said. This is right from Mike himself here. Mike Gesicki himself here said this. He said, I grew up a Giants fan. He said, every single game. Me and my dad on Sundays, we'd sit there on the couch and watch all the games. It was cool. Now, he said that back in 2019. Now, just recently, just this past week, when we had the 15th anniversary of the helmet catch, he was asked about it. Well, I should say, no, he didn't ask about that. A Twitter page asked people, where were you during this? What were you doing? He responded and retweeted it and gave his quote. He said, I was running around my house losing my mind, especially when Plexico was my favorite, especially because Plexico is my favorite player. My reaction looks to how I react when I score a touchdown now, LOL. Guys.
Yeah.
This is got to go get. And here's the beauty of it. The Dolphins are not going to re-sign him. I'm telling you that right now, guys. The Dolphins will not re-sign him. The only way they have of even keeping him is probably franchising him because he doesn't want to play there either. This guy was so misused this past year under Mike McDaniels, it's not even funny. So misused. So now, let me give you this: how many receiving yards he had the past 3 seasons prior to this one, okay? 580 yards. Not bad from a tight end. 580 yards. That's pretty dang good. And then he had 703 yards. Then he had 780 yards. Then this year, Mike McDaniels comes in, who doesn't want to use him as he was used by the prior regime for whatever reason. 32 catches, 362 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Because you got 2 really fast wide receivers who take away from the play.
Yeah.
Of the tight end.
But he had George Kittle. He had George Kittle in San Francisco, though. You think the guy would understand the importance of a good tight end? So
you would think so.
You know, that's why we all go to the gym, is to get one.
Yeah. Deadlifts, baby.
Kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. I don't go to the gym.
He just tries to pick up tight ends.
I do not. My wife is watching. I'm good. I'm taken, folks.
Sorry.
So, yeah. So like I said, I think it's a good fit for us. I seriously, wow. So I think, like I said, I think it's a good fit for us. I like him. To me, he's the number one guy I'd be going after as a tight end, even though Dalton Schultz I like because he hurts the Cowboys. I think he'll go somewhere else no matter what. So, I said that to me is who I'm all for. He's also the yin yang, so to speak, to Bellinger. As good of a blocker as Bellinger is, that's his issue. He's not as good a blocker. He's more of a big slot receiver kind of tight end, which is weird because I just said before I know we did slot slot receiver. He played from the tight end position. There is a difference. So like difference. I said, I'm all for it. How about you?
Sneaky.
How about you? Where are you at?
Yeah, especially because he was a 12-year-old kid running around his house. Yeah.
Seriously, and he's coming off a down year, so he should be cheaper.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He should be cheaper than most of the guys on this list. He wants to be coming to New York, so who knows? We can maybe even downplay the cost a little bit.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I think it should be a done deal.
Yeah, I'm 100% there.
And
so,
not to put away from Bellinger, just my Jack. Not to put him down.
No, like you said, both of them. Listen, I want Bellinger. I like Bellinger. You and I agreed he was our offensive rookie of the year. He's got a big place for the years to come in this team, I think. But having two tight ends is a normal thing now in the NFL. And these guys are so different, these two, that it is well as far as what one's good at, the other one isn't as good at. Because Bellinger, we talked about him with his hands. He's more of a security blanket. He's not going to run down the seam. That's not who he is.
Yeah, he'll pick up, the 1st and 5 for the first, for first down.
Yeah.
Well, you want to get a first.
He's
and
5,
that
5 to 10. Yeah, he's that 5 to 10 yard receiver, whereas Gesicki can go ahead and do a 15-yard catch. So there's a difference. We have one more tight end to go over, and before I give you guys the name, I want to read you guys a tweet this man gave today. He said, "Damn, I love New York." Unprovoked, 100% unprovoked, just said, "Damn, I love New York."
I think he was talking about the Knicks.
They did beat the Magic last night. So I think this guy is an interesting pick, and I think the fans that are listening, go ahead and tell me crazy. So I'm going to ahead of time. If you guys are watching live, tell me if I'm crazy. Evan Engram. Crazy. I know. Here's the thing. I blame the lack of production from him on Jason Garrett just as much as I blame it on him. I also think he needed a change of scenery because, let's be honest, the fans, we weren't very nice to him. Rob, you can't put crazy. You can't put your crazy in the comments yourself there. I see you saying it. Let's go over the numbers he had last year because I think it's going to kind of surprise some Giant fans who maybe didn't follow the Jacksonville Jaguars too closely. 73 catches, 766 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's a pretty damn good season out of a tight end. And if the Jets can get that, why can't we? With a young quarterback and with, here we go. Hasta Dahara, the listener there who's on the other day, said, LOL, no, he did have a good year though. He did have a good year. Like I said, I get it why Giant fans don't want him. We literally like cheered when he got hurt on the field. But like I said, I think he's an interesting potential that you can sit there and say, was it Jason Garrett or was it him? And
so
we
get rid of Slayton, right? We get rid of Slayton. He goes to Dolphins. He goes to the Raiders, wherever. He has a great year, 1,000 yards. They only pick him 1 year. Do you want to pick him back up?
Yes. I want to now. You know this. I'm a Slayton guy. I'm a Slayton guy.
Throw it out there.
So here's some more information on Engram here. Here's more information on Evan Ingram's year he had. Third most reception tight ends in the league. Third most. He said couldn't catch the ball. The guy who had a career low 3.9% drop percentage, which was a top 15 mark for tight ends with at least 25 targets. So that's about average. So I'm not saying his hands improved amazingly and he's got glue now, but he's an average pass catching tight end that can get open very easily.
It's also interesting too.
That's key. That's a big thing.
Like we said, he's got Trevor Lawrence now, he really came to this year, especially the second half of the year, where
he was on
Engram also lit up. That their offensive line has improved tremendously, which is probably better than the Giants. So now the quarterback who can play well has better time to play well. Look what he can do, because
it still doesn't help him get open, and it still doesn't help him catch the ball.
You're right, but he's also not getting misthrown balls at him where he could drop him. Like, it gives you time to throw the ball better.
People booing at him in the stands.
This is true. This is 100% true.
So, 481 yards after the catch, second most amongst tight ends. So I'm just saying, guys, think about it. And I'm not even sure where I'm at. I'm not going to see a guy put up those kind of numbers and say, I'm not going to think about this guy in the Giants when the Giants need a pass catcher. This guy already has worked with Daniel Jones and has rapport with him. So unless there's something that I'm unaware of between him and Jones, I think it's an interesting idea. I'm mixed on it, so I'm not going to give a yay or a nay. I'm mixed on it early, honestly.
Yeah, I'm back on that fence. Oh, Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty. I sat on a wall.
I'm on the fence with this one. I really am. So you're sticking with the fence on this? We're both on the fence?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go over to the offensive line. That's our next position here. And I think it's pretty obvious where our holes are, and it's interior line as a whole. I said whole lot. Hole.
It's a lot of holes to plug there.
That's a lot of holes.
Yeah.
I can be known to plug in holes.
Lordy, lordy, lord.
So we got a couple of guards to go over. We have one center, and that's it to go over, because there's not a lot of them out there in this free agency class here. And and this might be another place that we look at free agency. I'm sorry, look at the draft. Or it might be another place we looked at, even like getting some guy like Josh Azudu that we drafted last year starting lineup, getting him up. And because keep in mind, guys, we don't have to draft everybody this year. We don't have to sign everybody this year. We have to build.
Because we have 11 picks.
Build. This is a building. Yeah. Yes. So first up, we got Ben Powers, not to be confused with his brother Austin, and he plays for the Ravens. Shagadelic, baby.
Yeah, give it to me. Suck it to me.
So he'll be 26 after next year. So still a relatively young player. He's been a full-time guard for them the last 2 seasons. He's played both sides of the guard position as well, so both left and right. He basically this year went from battling for a starting spot because last year he wasn't as good to being a very consistent guard this year for them, and being somebody who I think is going to get a decent contract. I'm still mixed in this. I think part of my concern is, and I'm curious on the same page as this one, Rob. We gave a big contract, not a huge one, but a big contract out to Glowinski this offseason. And on paper, we got the second best lineman that the Colts had last year, which was a very good offensive line. It just didn't work out. Like, he might be a backup next year for us because he played that bad this year. He's going to be in the roster because of the contract.
Yeah. Listen, if we get Powers, and I'm very partial to the name, but if we get Powers at a good rate, shag it to me, baby. Give him to me.
I just think that, like I said, it worries me that he had an okay year and then a good year.
Yeah, like, if he's not asking for a lot, if we get him at a good rate, he could be a plug-and-play guy.
He's going to ask for a lot. He deserves a lot. That's the life.
But you're right. That's the life. But he's also got to realize his past history. So you had a good year, and that's when you ask for high, but you could also turn around and renegotiate. We'll see. If it comes to the right price.
It all depends on what everybody else thinks he's worth. That's what it boils down to. It's not what we think he's worth, but what the NFL GMs across the league think he's worth. And you never know. You see some guys making weird contracts that you would never have thought would have happened. We saw a few of them last year, And then you get some guys you think you get paid, and then they just don't get paid. So,
Yeah.
we'll have to see how it works out. Next up on our guards, we have Nate Davis. He's played for the Titans. He'll be 27 the end of next year. Right guard, full-time starter the past 4 seasons. And looking up everything on him, basically, my thoughts is basically that he's not amazing. And he's reliable, though. He's a reliable guy. He plays average at the position. And there's something to be said for that. Because we've had such bad play in the offensive line the last couple of years. I think at this point, a guy who we can trust is probably going to be an average player is not the worst thing in the world, as long as you don't pay him better than you pay an average player.
Yeah, I mean, same thing when it comes to. Yeah, I mean, when you come to right guard, it depends. Like, I could take it.
That's what we need.
It.
I mean, think about it. Left guard. Left guard, you got already probably Ben Bredesen, Josh Azudu. You have guys who can play that. Right guard was Mark Lewinsky this year, who, like I said, is going to be probably a backup. So if you can get a guy like this to play that position, then maybe have like Nick Gates play center and have Azudu and Ben Bredesen fight it out for left guard, that's not a bad comp.
No, I mean, that's something I would like to see, but I don't think we should go out and. Once again, if the price is right, you go for him. But
the price is wrong, Bob.
Yeah, he's going to be 27th in a year. Like, how big of a contract will we give him? Because he's going to, we're talking about.
That's young enough, honestly. You can give him a 5-year. You can give like a 5-year deal to a player like that, and still be like, okay, he's going to be what at the end of it, 31.
Yeah, that's about the end of the line, guys. Like, you kind of go downhill after taking all those hits.
You have plenty of guys. Listen. No, I'll disagree with you on that one. The fast guys, the receivers, they do. The running backs definitely do. The linemen will play to their mid-30s all day long.
I mean, it also depends. But
regardless, we're not getting him at that point. We're getting him now.
Yeah, I know.
So, like I said, I think if the price is right, it makes sense.
Yeah.
The I want nothing to do with it. So we got another comment here. Ken Cristiano says, let's take a retreat for 4 days in the dark. I'm not sure why he wants to take a retreat with us for 4 days in the dark. Ken, you got me a little worried there. What's going on? No weapons on this retreat, Ken. And then
I'll see you
Ken also gave just now a 100% as well. So, but Ken, let us know about this retreat and why you want to go on the retreat with us there. So next up, we have Dalton Risner up in the Broncos. He'll be 28 at the end of the year. He's been a full-time starter the last 4 seasons for the Broncos at left guard. He's not elite, but he's an above-average player. But he's got a temper. And that's one that always worries me is every time I see this guy, it's because of the wrong reasons. So he even pushed a teammate on the side in a loss this year. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
That's not a guy. No. So, like I said, it's a hard pass for me because we already have options at left guard, and I don't want to switch a guy that I'm paying a big contract to, and I don't want to deal with that kind of attitude. And he could be a nice guy, don't get me wrong, and just lost his temper a couple of times. But with the information I have right now, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't like that kind of play. I don't like guys that go out there and just like a snoo character. I don't need that. I don't like that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we need that because I think we have options. And we're all trying to get the locker room right and getting everything right. So let's not mess it up. Let's not mess it up with that. So we have another guard here to talk about, a last one. And remember, I should take it back. We have 2 actually to still talk about. There's a lot of guards here. Remember my theory. What do we want to take from? We want to take from the division. Take from the division. So we have Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles. He'll be 29 at the end of next year. Primary has been a left guard, which I know we just talked about that a minute ago, but he's played right guard as well. Started 60 games in the last 7 seasons for them. He's an excellent run blocker, but he's been a part-time starter basically for the Eagles, and because of his pass protection. So if we can get him cheap to be a depth or starting, depending on which one he can, which one he earns, which spot he earns, I'm okay with it. But when you have pass protection issues, I'm not willing to pay a lot of money because that's been our issue for the last 30 years, it feels like.
Yeah, I like the idea, like, once again, stealing from the division, but we need pass coverage. Like, that's been
that's what I'm saying.
A big problem. Yeah.
But
so
we're a running team. We're also a running team, though. There's 2 schools of thoughts there.
So, and he's good against the block, like you said. So, I would like to see him come, if we give him for a cheap price, for a plug-and-play kind of guy. Like, hey, let's get out. Let's get you a rest. You come in. Let's get you a rest. Oh, this team's got a good, run defense. Let's put you in. Kind of that play.
Yep. Like I said,
but for
if it's cheap, if we can get him a cheap deal where he has to fight for a starting position with us, then I'm all for it. If we got to pay him a ton of money, then I don't want him at all. He's not worth a big contract.
Yeah.
So the last name we have is an interesting one. Another blast from the past. There's something about the last couple of days with ex-Giant players that are like, it would be cool. Let's go play for the Giants again. And I'll tell you that as a Giant fan, guys, you got to be psyched about that. You know what that says? That says that the culture has changed. The culture has changed. Guys want to play for us. That's something the Giants haven't seen in quite some time. The Giants have people that want to play for them. We don't have to overpay like we did Galladay. They want to play here. So
yeah.
Justin Pugh.
Pew,
Pugh. And he'll be pew 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 pew. He'll be 33 at the end of next season, so he's definitely on the older side. He's also coming off an ACL injury. He's also had injuries galore when he's with the Giants. He's also had an injury pretty much every single season since he's played for the Cardinals except for one. So to me, it's a hard pass. Sorry, Justin. Your time is gone.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. Even at the
I see it being torn. I see it being torn because he's a good guy. Like, I liked him when he played.
Yeah, I liked him when he played. I like the idea that, coming back to the Giants, which is fantastic, because he knows the Maras, like he knows.
Yeah.
Not really the system because it's been too long because we've got a new system, but even like what's the minimum for a guy?
Honestly, if he would take the minimum, and we can say, you know what, you're going to be our Swiss Army knife when somebody else gets hurt, you're going to come here. That'd be the only thing I'd be kind of intrigued at because he played so many positions. He's played. I'm looking here at his Pro Football Reference to verify where he's played, and so he got right tackle, left guard. He played right tackle again, and that's with us. He played both left and right guard position for Arizona, and then this past season they literally just list him as O-line because he played all over the place. So yeah, that's the one thing that intrigues me about him is as to have him on the bench for a guy with that kind of knowledge that can maybe help some of the young guys that can play anywhere. But like I said, I wouldn't pay him more than the minimum. And to be honest, it's you. If you get him, that means we failed to get enough talent the other ways.
Yeah, that's once again, that's like kind of like why I'm torn. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. If we get
knowledge
him, we
is
failed.
good.
If we get him, we failed.
Yeah,
because there's better guys out there.
So like, we'll see how the season goes. Because sorry, Justin Pugh, like you're really probably not gonna go fast this year off the market. We can pick you up a little later. We shouldn't be
He'll probably be around that if we really had to.
That's what I'm saying.
Get him, yeah. But especially coming off the injury. So we do have one guard to talk about here. One guard. One center. I'm sorry. One center. I meant. Oh, well, I already talked about plenty of guards. One center.
Yeah.
Ethan Posick, who plays for the Browns, 27 years old. He'll be at the end of the season here coming up. So he's still a younger guy. He's not, he's not 22 or anything crazy young, but he got plenty of football years, but you don't worry about that with the contract. So here's his numbers here. He had a 71.5 pass block grade this season, 79.2 run blocking grade. Both of those were career highs. He's the best free agent center, though, coming out there by a huge margin. But he hasn't played in a complete season since 2017, so he's very injury prone. He's played at least 13 games in 4 out of the 6 games. 4 out of the 6 seasons. And he's played in 10 or more games 5 out of the 6 seasons. So it's not like he's hurt for the year and never available, but you got to plan if you sign this guy, he's going to be out for a couple of games. So for those reasons, I'm like going a Shark Tank, like Mark Cuban here. For those reasons, I'm out. I think personally, I want to see Nick Gates re-sign and bring him back and put him there, personally.
I would love it. Like, I also don't know if Nick Gates stays. I want him to stay. I really do. Which then
I think he wants to be a Giant. I really do.
He does. We'll see what happens this offseason with that. I really, even with us, especially because, Feliciano,
he got to go.
Yeah.
Feliciano go.
But yeah, like, if you had to choose between Feliciano, and Ethan, who would you go with? That's if you're not really
it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the money. Here's the thing: it's not that he's not upgrading. You're upgrading, but you're upgrading with a guy who can't play a full season. That's the problem.
Yeah, and then Nick Gates comes in and saves the day. We love you, Nick Gates.
So we got our next position coming up here, and this is the second most important position in my eyes. It's linebacker. The thing the Giants were known for all these years with the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, the Harry Carsons and all, the guys who would just, be amazing linebackers that you talk about for years and years and years. You can even include guys that nowadays would be called edge rushers, not linebackers, but back then they were called linebackers. The Carl Bankses, the Lawrence Taylors. Yeah. We had Jesse Armstead back in our childhood days and all. Antonio Pierce. We had so many good linebackers in the history of this team here, even just in the last few decades. And we don't have anybody on this linebacking core that I'm okay with playing next year with no reservations. I think Beavers will start probably next year. Hashtag Saber Beavers. So. I stole it from you there. But I don't think that he's somebody you can count on because he's also coming off of a big injury. Here's Ken Cristiano chiming here saying they forgot about that position lately, and you're 100% right. Yeah. They haven't managed this position. They've managed the pass rush, and that's what they've always focused on as the Giants the last 10, 15 years is take care of the line, sign a couple of corners, and everything else will just happen. Nothing in league just happens. You have to take care of it. You have to, focus on these things. So the big name out there, I'll go over first because everybody's talking about this guy potentially, and that's Tremaine Edmunds, who played for the Buffalo Bills. So obviously he's got the connection there with Joe Schoen. He's got the connection with Brian Dable. 25 years old he'd be at the end of next year. This is young. For a guy to hit free agency, that is young. 102 tackles last year, 66 solo, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. His tackles have also increased each year. So again, we talked about that with that with Jakobi Meyers. That's one thing I look at when I looked at these guys. I wanted to see improvement. I want to see a guy who's showing growth, and I want to buy high. I want to buy they're getting high. You know what I mean? Like I want to get somebody who's improving, showing that they're still growing, that I know is going to probably be a good fit and keep getting better, hopefully, with this. As Ken Cristiano strikes in again with, he is good. So two-time Pro Bowler,
good.
two-time Pro Bowler, all 5 seasons over 100 tackles. 100. I'm sorry, 100. I wish 100. 86.9 coverage grade last year, which was the 3rd best amongst all off-ball linebackers. And what's interesting about that is the knock on him always was he had trouble in coverage. And he seemed to take that personally and kind of improve that last year. So, but he's going to want some money, guys. This guy ain't going to come cheap. So I'm not against it, regardless of the money. But I don't want the cap to hinder us because we signed this guy. So I'm okay with it depending on the money and how it fits.
Correct. Depends on what we're doing. Like, if we rely more on the draft, pay this man. Pay this man.
Ken comes back in with hell no, big money. It's not my money. That's the thing. That's what I keep telling Giant fans always. It's not my money. I'm not signing the check. So as long as you can do these moves, and Rob and I talked about this before the show. Even look at a team like the Saints. Mickey Loomis there, who's basically the honey badger of NFL GMs. He don't give a damn. He don't give a shit.
Yeah,
they find a way to get around this. That's why you hire these guys. You pay cap guys for this reason, because you don't want to get stuck.
You manipulate the money.
Exactly. They will figure it out if that's what they really want to do. It may hurt us from signing somebody else down the road or whatever, but if they really want to do it and they think it's what's best for the team, they have my full blessing. Not that they need it, but they have my full blessing. I trust this team to do it. I trust this team to make the right moves, which is really scary because I haven't trusted an NFL GM from the New York Giants since the days of Ernie Accorsi.
Yeah.
That's probably the last one I trusted. I haven't been a fan of one of them since. So, but here's the thing, folks. Though, this is a stacked position in free agency. Stacked. I can't stress that enough. So, Ken says, I'm a Bears fan. I love your guys' show, so let the Giants go broke. Hey, no, stop it. Someone's still bitter we got the first-round pick last year, aren't you, Ken?
He's going to say F us because you got this year.
Yeah, he's got the number 1 overall. He's good. But here's the thing. This is a stacked position. And Ken, maybe you listen to this as well because your Bears need a linebacker after trading yours away. Oh, I went there. You got plenty of cap space too. So here's the next one we got for you. And I have 6 different linebackers that are legit good linebackers, all going to be available in free agency, again, assuming they don't get re-signed prior or franchise tagged. The next one we got follows my rule again of what do? We take from division rivals. T.J. Edwards, who led everybody on this list in tackles this year at 159. That's a lot of tackles. 159 tackles, guys. That's like Blake Martinez kind of like numbers there. That's that kind of number there. And he'll be 27 at the end of next year. So he's a guy that, again, not too old. A lot of these guys here are they're mid to late 20s. That's it. So we have guys that we can sign to good contracts here and not worry about them getting old towards the latter half. And so with those 159 tackles, 99 of them solo, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. We talked again about what do I always say I wanted again? Like I said it multiple times this episode, I want people to see improvement in these guys year after year. Here's his sack numbers. His tackle numbers. 30, 70, 130, 159. The guy has improved every year, guys. So he's a guy that I'm really interested in. He's also one of just 4 linebackers this year to grade over 75 in both run defense and in coverage. And one thing I'm looking at as well, and I guess maybe I'm stupid for doing this to a certain degree, and maybe I'm just optimistic, guys, but I look at him and go, this is a guy that fits Wink's defense too. because he's not asked to rush a lot in the Philadelphia, defense, because let's be honest, they have a stacked defensive line. They have plenty of guys to rush the ball from there. But when he has been asked, which was only 26 times this past year, 11 pressures generated. That's a pretty damn impressive percentage. Now, is it possibly skewed by the slow number? Of course it can be. But that's pretty damn impressive. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm definitely interested in TJ Edwards, and he's right up there with Edmunds for me. And I'll tell you this, all these guys pretty much I'm probably going to be okay with this list. There's a lot of them here. As Ken chimes in again with Beast. He is a beast.
Yeah. I mean, just hopefully he's not a giant killer like he's been. So if we sign him.
He can't kill us. If we sign him.
If he has a terrible year.
I love the optimism. Yeah. That's that Giant fan optimism that we all love.
Sound like a Jets fan.
Now we also have Germaine Pratt from the Bengals. He'll be 27 at the end of next year. 99 tackles, 50 solo, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions. Not as many tackles because he's not as good in run coverage. That's the thing. But what he is he has a 90.1 coverage mark, which was best in the NFL. What do we always have trouble with? Rob, for the last 30 freaking years, it feels like? Covering what position? Covering what position, though, specifically? What position?
Damn tight ends.
Those damn tight ends. And how do you stop a tight end? With a good coverage linebacker. So, I am not as sold on him as I am the prior two guys. But I'm intrigued by him. And I'm okay with getting him because he's not going to be as expensive as those two. And I got to hope that he's coachable to be better against the run. Because we're not good against the run anyway this year as it is.
I was about to say, that's another difficult spot.
But if we have a guy who can cover tight ends for the first time since, the Reagan administration, then that's a good thing for us. Like, that's a huge, huge thing. Imagine what would have happened against the first time we played the Vikings if we could have stopped T.J. Hawkinson. Imagine what would have happened against the Ravens and how much further away that game would have been if we could have stopped Mark Andrews. There's so many times the tight end just burns us. I'm just done with it. So, yeah, like I said, I'm there. Burnt. I am tired of getting burnt. So, we got another guy coming up. And the interesting thing is a lot of these guys we've seen this year. Here's a guy we did see this year, and that's Bobby Okereke. I'm going to mispronounce this name, so sorry ahead of time, folks. I'm trying for you here. It's Okereke. So he played for the Colts, 27 years old. He'll be at the end of next year. 151 tackles, 99 solo, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recovery. This is a guy that took over for Shaquille Leonard when he got hurt as their top linebacker. And guess who's coming back next year? Shaquille Leonard. They're not going to pay 2 guys top dollar. You can't do it. Linebacker is not that position. You can do that in the NFL. So he's very good against the run. He's got back-to-back 100 tackle seasons. He does need to improve in coverage, but he's also not a liability there necessarily. It's just he's not as good there as he gets against the run because he's excellent against the run. So we talked again. Improvement. We want to see improvement. 65 tackles, 72 tackles, 132 tackles, 151 tackles. That's his stats those years he's played. This is an under-the-radar guy that's not get the attention that some of those guys I already mentioned are going to get. Come in and significant improvement and not be as expensive. So
it's true.
Yeah. I'm all for it. I think he's sneaky good, gonna be. I think he'll be the guy to look at, honestly. And everybody thinks Edwards. Edmunds. I don't think we can afford him. I think this is the guy we get. So,
yeah.
Now we have.
Right. I think just the price.
Yeah, it's all about the price. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Money. So we got next up David Long, who played for the Titans. The guy we saw, going to be 26 at the end of the next year. 86 tackles, 2 interceptions. He was his first time as a full-time starter this past season. So he doesn't have a lot of experience. Obviously, his stats are better this year than they were the last couple of years because he wasn't starting. So 89 run grade against the which is 89 run grade overall this season, 4th best amongst linebackers. 13 tackles for a loss or no gain, ranked 12th amongst linebackers. 19.8% pass rush win rate, 23.8 pressure rate, 2nd best marks in the league for off-ball linebackers with at least 100 pass rush snaps. And what does Wink love to do?
Oh, he's a blitz.
He
machine.
loves to blitz. He does the blitzkrieg bop. Okay, and this guy, I'm telling you, like, this is a guy that I think fits Wink Martindale's defense so well, it's not even funny.
If they're going to pay someone,
I don't think he'll be as expensive. I really don't think he'll be as expensive. This is another guy. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to pick some guys, not just the 2 big ones in Edmunds and Edwards. I'm trying to pick some other guys that are going to be a little cheaper. Because, again, we don't have... Where are we shopping? We're shopping at Marshall's, guys. We're shopping at Marshall's.
Factory.
Yep. Except we're not more than gray coats. So we can't afford even.
Yeah.
We're on hand-me-down coats.
From 5 years ago.
We do have one more linebacker. I know everybody's like, oh my God, there's a lot of linebackers. I told you guys, there's a ton of linebackers.
We tried to tell you.
Legit linebackers. Like the position of need that we have. We talked about wide receiver and linebacker. Wide receiver, there's nobody really, we're going to have to go through the draft. Linebackers, that's the position for us to get, along with tight end, because we can get a pass catching option there. There's tons of linebackers available, guys. So, Drue Tranquill of the Chargers, he's going to be the oldest of all these guys. He'll be 28 at the end of next year. That's the oldest guy listed here. Grandpa, exactly. Ooh. Break out the wheelchair.
Yeah.
146 tackles last year, 95 of them solo. Here's another big one for you. 5 sacks from the linebacker position. Not edge, linebacker. And an interception. And this was his first year as a full-time starter. And he excelled at both coverage and blitzes. Again, same as we talked about there with some of the other guys there, needs a little work in the run coverage. But does coverage, does blitz. He's got 2 out of 3. And like Meatloaf said,
it ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. No. Because, we had from this year, we had 0 out of 3. We had 0 out of 3, folks. If you guys think we had any good linebackers this year, I suggest you go back to the film.
We didn't even have meatloaf. We had chopsteak.
Yeah, we had steakums.
Yeah. Microwave steakums.
Yeah, we had like dollar store shit, like the Dollar Tree stuff that you find in the freezer that's like, this can't be a steak. And yes, it's a steak. They just didn't tell you what animal it's from.
Touché.
Said, guys, we have options here. And I'm going to say I'm good with pretty much any of the options. I just don't want to go and pay tons of money where we can't afford other things we need. So maybe it's the time to look at some of those other secondary guys because they're not bad players. We have one more position to go over with you folks here because we're running a little longer than I expected to tonight, but there's a lot of guys here. Maybe we should have broken this up. Oh, well. You guys got twice the coverage here. You got like 2 episodes in one here.
Yeah. We're in the home stretch now, guys.
We're the last one. Corner. Corner is the second position we got here. And we all know we got a Corey Jackson. We were talking about him in the last episode. We wanted to extend him even to get his cap number down and keep him long term. Well, guess what? He needs a buddy. He needs a buddy.
Who better than his old friend?
My buddy. My buddy. My buddy and me. Remember the My Buddy doll? For those who don't know, the My Buddy doll is what started the whole Child's Play thing. That doll was kind of creepy if you think about it, but I had a My Buddy.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of explaining to do, trust me there. So We talked about Justin Pugh and Evan Engram wanting to come back potentially and saying, talking about New York. We had a third guy talking about New York as well, and that was James Bradberry, who did say today at the interviews during the Super Bowl, or as we're calling it this year, the Superb Bowl, since we're not supposed to say Super Bowl, but we just said Super Bowl twice now.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Since the Eagles are in it, it's the bowel movement. So he did say he'd come back, which I'm kind of shocked by that because he was bitter. He was bitter about getting cut. Like, that man was salty. That was like Dead Sea salty, like this man was when he got cut. And I don't know why, because the Giants waited so long to cut him, but they were trying to trade him. It wasn't like they were sitting around doing nothing and scratching themselves. So, yeah. So this past year, 44 tackles, 3 interceptions, had the 1 Pro Bowl with us. At the end of next season, he'd be 30. And for that reason, I'm going to say not to do it because I think he's going to get a big contract. And like we talked about earlier, 30 is when you start to die.
32 is when you start to die. 32
not in the world. It's all speed. I'm telling you right now, someone's going to sign him to a long-term contract. He will either not see that contract through, or he'll have to be converted over to a safety. One of the two.
Yeah. If you get him on a 3-year contract with a last year option to get him out with a reasonable amount, I would sign him.
I just not so sure we can afford him personally, but we'll see. Again, it's not my decision to make the cap numbers. Joe Schoen, you and your people, you get this going. Get us a corner. We need a second corner.
Get that pencil out.
Get it. Sharpen that pencil. Sharpen that pencil.
Yeah.
Like a car dealership. Let's get the 4 square going. Let's get the 4 square going. As Ken chimes back in, hell no. He does not like James Bradberry, apparently. Either because he's a Bears fan. He wants them to sign him. So here's the second guy I have for you guys. And it also is a little bit on the older scale again. Marcus Peters, who played for the Ravens, obviously has a good relationship with a certain Don Wink Martindale, that means.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. And here's the thing. This is a guy that came off an ACL from the prior year and looked better as the season progressed. What intrigued me most about him is because I'm wondering, because he had a little bit of an off year last year because he was coming back from an injury, can we get him cheap? And can we get him on a 1 or 2 year deal? Because if we can do that, I'm down for it. If we can't, and he wants a big contract, he wants to get paid top dollar, he wants like 4 years, goodbye, I'm not interested any longer. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So keep in mind how good this guy was, though. He's a little bit of a headache, though, but I never heard of an issue with him in Baltimore. But the headache in Kansas City, he was a headache in Los Angeles. So
we knows how to control his guys.
3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 2015 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. When this guy is healthy on his game, he's one of the best corners in the league. And I haven't heard anybody talking about him. All the talk is about Bradberry. This guy might be the better.
Yeah, if you get him a cheap deal.
Ken says, 1 year deal, pain in the ass, but worth one deal.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, if you want to pay this guy, because, he had a decent year, like, I can't see him spending a lot of money. But, because, he was on injury and didn't have his All-Pro, his Pro Bowl year this past year, but he did see improvement. So that tells me if you get him at a cheaper price, he excels, then you trade him off. Take that in a heartbeat.
If I can get him to a 5 to 10, I say 5 to 10, maybe $5 to $8 million deal on a 1 year deal or something like that. Okay,
I'll take it.
I just don't want to be buying tons of money into a guy that, like I said, but you're taking a risk. But again, I would take him over Bradberry because I think you can get him at a shorter deal, and I don't think he won't be as expensive.
As I say, you can get him cheaper. So I'm sold.
Yeah. So like I said, all for it. Okay. On to our next one. We're getting into the young guns now. We got 2 young guns here. And I say young guns, but they're in their
Here's a young buck.
Young gun. Yes. Here's a young whippersnapper. Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
You.
You hooligans.
Get with the skateboard. You with the skateboard. Back in my day.
Back in my day, I skateboarded uphill twice.
In the snow. So first one we have, a lot of Giant fans are probably familiar with him because he plays for where I live around here, the Tampa Bay area. He plays for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Jamel Dean, going to be 26 at the end of next year. 57 tackles, 2 interceptions. He's a good, dependable corner. I think he's going to want too much money for what we're going to want to pay him, though. Again, I hate to keep talking like we're like the poor people here, but like we're.
And he's also got a ring on it.
If like, then you should have put a ring.
Tom Brady did.
Oh. Yeah, and he got a ring taken off the next year. Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh. By the way, I heard a thing that he actually talked to Giselle before he retired to see what she thought. I'm like, why would he go back to? She already left you because of that. She's not coming back, dude.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
He just misses that good Brazilian food. Just go to Texas de Brazil, Tom. It's not far from where you live. But like I said, I think he's a good, dependable corner. He's not going to be your all-pro, but I do think he's going to get paid because he's the best of the younger corners, and because of that, I probably won't be interested. But I probably peek in to see if I can afford him.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Listen, it's like when you're out there, you're checking out your options, and like you're out there like looking for a car, but you see that convertible that you know you can afford. You might just take a look to see what's going on underneath the hood. So yeah.
Ken's chiming back in. She's with her yoga instructor. We know Ken. She likes the downward dog position. We've heard.
Hello.
I thought it was like a kung fu person or something. Is it yoga? I don't know. Whatever. At the beginning of the year, we were all about those two. We couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I've lost.
They're both
lost
tight
interest.
together on the couch.
It dragged on too long. So
yeah.
The next guy. The next guy is really the guy that I'm most interested in.
Just because of his name.
Yeah, listen, the name is cool.
I'm not going to lie.
Get The Rock. The Rock. Rock
Ya-Sin.
Now, he played for the Raiders because the Raiders suck. But he's going to be 27 at the end of next year, so still young. 45 tackles, 11 games, 9 starts last year. He's a press man coverage guy. Now, this is a guy that I'm not saying I want to press him, no pun intended, into action and have him start next year for us. But he's a guy who's a depth piece that can start if need be. My thing that I'd love to see us do is go ahead and get Fabian Moreau back, get a guy like this to be your third corner, and then all of a sudden you're in business. Unless you draft somebody, unless that's their plan. That's what I would personally go with, because I don't want to pay a guy a ton of money for a position when I already have my top corner signed, and I don't have a ton of money. You need a second corner, not number one. So.
Correct.
So
Monday.
rock, paper, scissors says rock. So. We got one more player, one more corner.
We made it, guys.
And this is probably the biggest name on this whole entire list. This is like automatic going to Canton. Like when this guy retires, he's going to Canton. And if Britton Golden was on the show right now, he'd be telling us to sign this guy in a heartbeat. 'Cause you remember he talked about him. He's a huge fan of him. Patrick Peterson, who played for the Vikings the last couple of years, 33 years old at the end of next year. So he's way up there for a corner. But he played decent last year. And he's played the last 2 years on a 1-year deal. So we end up looking for a stopgap. Not a bad stopgap to get when you got a guy who's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He was in the Hall of Fame All-2010s team. Like, this is a guy with a resume. A resume like you wouldn't believe. So, like I said, if we can get him on a 1-year deal and we need somebody else to be the second corner, it's a good move if we don't have to pay him a ton of money. And I think he knows he's at that stage in his career where he's going to get 1-year deals until he's done. Or switches to a free safety or something.
I was about to say,
but there's
you got to get him cheap or possible as a free safety, but
but there's also a risk because of his age. What happens
Yeah.
with these guys is all of a sudden they're like this, and all of a sudden it goes. "Erp."
Yeah, they drive right off a
Age
cliff.
They
do a buffalo
hits
run.
everybody. So, like I said, I think it's an interesting option, but it's not without risk. So I'm on the fence on that one. I'm on the fence. Where are you at?
The money talks.
Are you
back on the fence?
money?
I'm teetering on the fence with 3 legs.
Yeah, show me the money.
That's
show
it.
me the money.
33 years old as a cornerback, and he wants, if he wants to get paid, he can get paid elsewhere.
Like I said, he didn't get paid a lot. That's the thing. He's been kind of understanding that where he is in his career, and I honestly think he's just happy at this point to be getting signed still. I think he still have to be playing. I think the guy loves the game. You can tell that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think it's going to be an interesting one to see. I'm kind of curious to see what he would be getting on the market. He has said though he wants to go ahead and play with the Vikings again. He liked playing there the last 2 years, but the Vikings may be ready to move on too. So they might be sitting there saying he's 33. We're done. So
could be.
We shall see. And this concludes our preview of potential targets for the New York Giants in free agency 2023, folks.
We did it.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you got somebody that you think we missed in this list of possibles of people, go ahead and put it in the comments section there. I'm kind of curious to see if anybody else has it, because obviously, there's a lot of guys that are going to be becoming free agents here. Every single year, there's hundreds of players that hit the streets there and got to go looking for work again. So let us know who you think. Let us know who you want to sign as well. And remember, folks, if you're out there watching us live or watching us even not so live later on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, we're also available on audio version on pretty much every podcast platform known to man. And if you're on one of those podcast platforms and you want to see our pretty faces, we have very pretty faces. I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. I feel pretty.
Oh, so pretty.
And, we're on, as I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. So feel free to hop in there. My suggestion would be to just go hit every single option and hit subscribe to every single one of them, because that just makes me happy, makes Rob happy, and you like us happy. You wouldn't like us when I'm not so happy. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah.
So again, folks, I want to thank you guys for listening in today. We hope to give you some good information here. I learned some myself, even doing the research on this for this episode here too. So it's a great time of the year. It's always fun to see where players go and where the shoes drop, so to speak. There. So we'll be definitely following along with you guys here to see where things go. In a couple of days here, we're going to have our Super Bowl episode as well. We'll give you guys a preview, so we can see, try to find ways to say that the Chiefs will win. Because let's be honest, we're a Giants podcast. We hate the goddamn Eagles. So we're going to find a way to say the Chiefs will win. And I actually do think the Chiefs will win either way. So I think that, it's going to be a good game. But I do think the Chiefs win. I'll say it up front, because you already know we're just gonna wait on a couple days. There's no way in hell we say the Eagles win. So, and after that, folks, we're going to start, of course, with next week with our post-game of the Super Bowl. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give you guys also the rundown on all the all the positions and kind of our reviews and where they were at from last year. And we have some great guests lined up for that as well. So definitely hit that subscribe button on whatever you're listening or watching on, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. I'm telling you, line coming up for this, because Bowden said, who wants to go on, and let's get other content creators out here. So it's going to be a great way for you guys not just to learn about the team and have a good outlook on what we need this off season coming up, but it's also going to give you guys a great look on other people as well that you're going to want to probably listen to, like, and subscribe to as well, because got pretty creme de la creme, the best of the best coming on. Not quite as good as us, but close. We're so modest. So, again, folks, thank you very much for listening to these two goofballs and everything we had to say. Hope you guys learned something good here today. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Men!
Go G-Men! G-Men! G-Men!
Go G-Men!
Don't forget about the Chiefs.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?